The biggest battle that we will ever have to face is the battle between you and you. It's the battle of taking your mind to that limit and then breaking through. On the Mindful Experiment podcast, we will be interviewing individuals who have done that, who have gone through the struggles, who have tried to create a reality and all that they could. And when all the odds were against them, they made the impossible possible. I'm your host, Dr. Vic Manzo, and I want to thank you for being on the podcast and taking this journey with me as we go through and discover different avenues to break through those limits, different avenues to help you expand your reality so that you can evolve into the person that you desire to be. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Welcome to the show. This is Dr. Vic, and we're talking today about vantage points. Vantage points play a role in every single aspect of our life. When we look at life and we look at an event, something that happens in someone's life, when you take two people and they go through the same exact event, why is it that there's two different reactions? There's two different outcomes. There may be even two different stories for the most part. Why is that? Was one lying and one telling the truth? Let's look a little further. I want you to imagine that you're looking at a beach ball, massive beach ball, sitting on top of a totem. So this beach ball is so massive, and you're looking at it up, and now we have four people there. It's a four-colored beach ball, and the person who's moderating all this says, okay, tell me what color is the beach ball. Now, when you look up at it, it's so big, all you can see is one color. So in your eyes, you sit there and go, oh, well, I see red. This is what it is. I see the color red. Now they look at me and they go, all right, what color is the beach ball to you? And as I look at it, I go, the beach ball's blue. I don't know where they see red. All I'm seeing is blue. They ask the other person, they say yellow, the other one says white. Who's right? Who's wrong? The truth is, you're right based on where you're standing, your vantage point, your perspective. If you stay within that point and you don't shift to look at other angles of an event or something in your life, you're only going to see yours. But if you step out of your zone, you step out of your perspective, and you look at other different ones, you will see that there are other perspectives that exist. Now, the truth is whatever it is you're looking at and seeing, but the more perspectives you have, the better you can analyze and look at something in your life. And so if you took a couple steps, 10, 15 feet to your right, you would have saw blue. If you went 10 to 15 to the left, you would have saw yellow. Where in your life, when you look at your life and situations that happen, people in your life, the stories you tell yourself, the things you focus on, where are you staying stuck on the color on that one perspective? You're looking only at one color of the beach ball, not the the different layers of it. We've all done this, folks. I've done this. I know you've done it. And we've all stayed where we're at. We don't move and shift our perspectives to look and see in different vantage points, look and see in different perspectives. Try to understand where the person's coming from or the event that's happening. Because the truth is, an event is just an event. There's really no good or bad to any event. Only the perspective of where you're standing from. I can get as extreme as looking at the millions of people that Adolf Hitler and his regime had killed. Horrible, horrible suffering, horrible struggles people had to go through. The amount of people that passed and so much more. It was one of the most devastating things that happened in humanity. But what did it teach us? Right? If we just stand in that perspective, all we see is the horror, people, what they went through, the gas camps, all that stuff. But if we take another step to the other way and look at it from a different perspective, now what do we see? It taught us to appreciate life. It taught us to watch out for tyranny. It taught us to look at things in different perspectives and watch out, make sure that we don't let it happen again if we don't forget our history. There was a positive to that too. You see, in life, it's all about where your perspective is. And if you're sitting there going, I don't know about you, Doc, but I have family members who were in there and so much more. I totally understand that to a certain degree. And I totally, it's not an easy topic to talk about. But at the same token, understand that in life, everything's a positive and negative, and it's all about how you look at it. There's negatives to everything just as much as there are positives. The problem is our mind is a couple million-year-old program that only looks for the negative. So you got to shift your perspectives and look at different things. Now, some may say, well, Doc, you're always looking for the positive, so that you're an opportunistic. You're just a Mr. Positive type of person. No, I'm not. I just believe that there's other perspectives, and I get to choose which ones I want to believe in, which ones I want to focus in, And the ones I focus is what it's going to be. So I can look at an event in my life and think it's horrible. I can think it's unbelievably drastic, or, oh my God, I couldn't believe this or that. But I can take a step back and go, okay, wait a minute. Let me look at this event. And this is the one way it is, but it's not the truth. It's a percentage of the truth, but it's not the truth. Let me look at different angles. And then I start to see different angles, different things that I didn't see before, and I get to get a bigger picture of what it really is happening. And how can I evolve from that and grow and expand and help me become a better person through it. And that's why failures, we did a podcast on failures and we talked about that. And this is where the vantage points and the perspectives come in. Because when you have a failure in life, you can look at that and say, oh, well, look at this. I failed. I'm horrible. I'm this. I'm that. We've all been there. We've done that. We've shamed the heck out of ourselves. But we can take a step back then and look at the perspective and say, okay, well, let me look at this from a different angle. What is this going to teach me? How is this going to help me grow? How is this going to help me evolve? Everything in life is to work for you, not against you. It's one thing I've learned in my 34 years of living on this planet is I've learned that everything is always working for you. You may not see the whole picture because unfortunately we have a limited mind. We can't see all the perspectives. It's impossible. As a soul, when we pass on and we go back to the spiritual realms, yes, we can see all the perspectives. We can see every single angle and understand the depths of it all. But in initial phases, in a human world, it's very hard, and you have to really work at this to try to see different perspectives. And then you just choose whatever perspective that you like, that you believe that is the one you want to follow. And that's kind of how life is. That's what you have to do in life and see it. In our lives, we share so many stories and belief systems about people and situations and events. How many times do people say, I love my wife or my husband, but then I can't stand them about this, or you're talking about it, or I can't stand when they do this, or a coworker or your boss. And it's those stories that we're telling ourselves because you're so stuck on a perspective. We don't see the other person's side. And it's not easy sometimes. Trust me, there's times my wife and I will have arguments, and I'm so stuck on where I'm at. And then I catch myself, and I'm like, okay, I got to slow down here. This is not, I'm not seeing the full picture here. I'm not really understanding where she's coming from. I'm not seeing what it looks like from her lens, from her view, from her perspective, from her other side of the beach ball. There's another, and I apologize, I don't know the production company, but my wife and I like New Girl, and we watch the show when we can. It's recorded, so that's the beautiful thing about that. But we watch it on our time when we can, and one of the things is cool. At the end of the show, they'll show one of these production companies, and they have their symbol that comes down in the middle, and then they have two angles of light that hit it. And when the angles of light hit it, it shows a shadow, and on one side it's a C, and the other side is an E. And I love that because I always look at that and say, that's perspective. Because if I'm on the left side looking, I'm going to tell you the symbol showing an E, and you're going to look at me and say, no, it's a C. I can see what's in front of me. It's a letter C. And we go back and forth, who's right or wrong. Well, then I go to their perspective, try to understand what they're seeing, and then I go, oh, wow, I see what you're seeing. Holy cow, from this angle I could see it from here. From that angle I could see it here. And again, guys, that's the beauty of perspectives and vantage points. Where in your life are you not looking at vantage points? Where are you stuck in a perspective? Where are you stuck in a story? What are you focusing on? As I describe in my book that's coming out April 30th, it'll be on Amazon and all different online retailers, that In chapter 2, I talk about how your whole entire existence of a reality, your experiences in your reality, your life, and everything all comes down to what you focus to. It really just comes down to focus. And I break that all down. And perspective is just an avenue of focus. What do you believe this to be for you, and what are you focus? That's what you're focusing on, and that's what you're putting energy into. And it becomes more real to you. But just as it real was to be one way, you can change that and be real a different way. That's the beauty of the focus. That's the beauty of changing your perspective. That's the beauty of looking from different vantage points. And the more you focus on different vantage points, that's going to be the beauty of it all, guys. I can't tell you how many times in life I've made that mistake so many times, being stuck in my ways, thinking this is what it was, so certain that it was, so logically stating all the things to show it that it was. And then when I finally asked the questions, it got out of my head, changed my vantage point, asked questions. It was amazing how I realized how far off I was. So, there's some great things that are out there that you can utilize to go deeper with these tools. Byron Katie, she has a book out called Love Is, or Always Love, or I forget the title of it, but look it up. It's on Amazon. And she does something called The Work. And the work is kind of breaking things down and trying to look at, what if it's true, what you're saying, what if it isn't, and trying to really break down different vantage points. I do my coach, he does a lot of work, Garrett White's work with Warrior, and one of the things they do is something called the Stack, and the Stack does a little bit of Byron Katie's work, but then it goes deeper, and it's talking about walking the block and stuff like that, and it's just powerful stuff to do. And it's, again, looking at different perspectives, looking at different vantage points. How can you shift your mind into different vantage points to try to understand what it is that you're seeing, what is the other person seeing, what is the opposite of what you're seeing, and what is the goals of what do you want to achieve, what do you want that to be? Remember, the stories of your life dictate your world. They dictate your life. We talked about this in a podcast. This is the exact same thing. I'm just taking it to a deeper level. I'm using this in perspection to life. When I first started my business and a chiropractic office, and it wasn't an easy journey for me. It was I had a lot of self-doubt, didn't have a lot of certainty, and it showed in my business. And even though I showed confidence, I still had that uncertainty. And it took time as I worked through this, but it got to a point where a lot of factors were hitting me in different areas. Financially, I was struggling very, very hard on that. Mentally, I was trying to keep up with everything I possibly could, and it was just a lot of stress, and I didn't know how to manage it at the time. And so what happened was there came a point where I was, credit card bills just skyrocketing, student loans, they weren't working with you, so those were going up, and I was getting frustrating because I'm like, man, I need to figure out a way to stop the bleeding here. And after about a little over a year, it took me about a year to finally say, you know what, I need a breather. I can't live like this anymore. There's no way. I'm going to just continually accumulate debt and go so much deeper that it'll be even harder to get out. It'll take me years. Stint my growth and my business and everything else I want to do. So it took me a year to finally realize, hey, you know what? I need to go bankrupt. And I wasn't happy with that decision. I never wanted to. To me, it was kind of like the easy road out. I wanted to just do the work. I've always been that type of guy. I'll do the hard work. I'll push. I have no problem. But then, and I was stuck on that for a while. And then I finally, the lawyer I worked with and a couple other people just kept saying, this is a break for you just to break through, and it's going to give you that breathing room to move forward and really achieve your dreams faster. And I thought, okay, they're just wowing me and all this. But then I started listening to people's stories like Walt Disney, who went bankrupt, I think 6 or 7 times. Donald Trump went bankrupt. And so many other people have gone bankrupt. And some of the most richest people in the world have gone bankrupt. And I was sitting there going, all right, look where they're at. They had to make those sacrifices to go where they needed to go. Maybe this is something I just needed to look into, and I did. And I ended up doing it. And I don't regret it one bit because it gave me that breathing room. It took some of that financial stress off me so I can be more creative. And I started looking at that from a different vantage point. I started looking at it from the vantage point of, you know what, if I don't have this stress, then I can be more creative. I'm not worrying about how I have to make money as much. Now I can focus more on just the business, being creative, fulfilling my vision, following my dreams, and doing what I love and doing it well. And honestly, ever since that moment happened and I shift my perspective, I looked at it from a different vantage point. Guys, it wasn't easy. It was not easy for me to make that decision. It was not easy for me to look at it from a different vantage point, just like it isn't easy for you either. But you got to do the work and keep reprogramming your mind to do it in a different way. So I kept focusing on the difference of that. I kept focusing on, you know what, this is what it's going to do for me. This is how it's going to turn out. And this is what's going to mean. And you know what? It happened. 2 years later, business was massively different. All of a sudden, 5 years later, it was a whole different business, and we've been rocking since. And as we go 5 years, now we're 6-7 years from now, and I've been so blessed that it worked out. And I truly believe it comes back down to how I looked at things. You can look at things in two different ways, and one can empower you and help you grow and evolve in your life, and the other one can break you down. But the thing is, it's up to you. No matter what, if you choose left or you choose right, you're going to be right regardless. And that's because at the end of the day, you're the one that dictates your life. You're the one that creates the stories. You're the one that creates your reality. And so you can either empower it or you can disempower it. And so with this podcast, I hope that message comes clear to you and sharing with you on how you can empower your reality, empower your life. And that's what my whole business is about. Besides my chiropractic office, we're launching an online coaching group. We're launching an online university where I'm going to be teaching you these concepts. I'm going to be teaching you ways of my own methods that I have utilized to help you with vantage points, to help you with, how to change the story around and how to rewrite your script and so much more so that you can empower your reality in every aspect of your life. And this is going to affect you in your marriage, your relationships, your social, your family, your health, your spiritual health, your mental health, your physical health, your career, and so much more. And so keep a lookout as we're in the process of putting programs together, and we are going to be launching a beta coaching group. We're only taking on 5 people. And it's going to be online, so keep a lookout. If you, the way to keep up with us is check out on Facebook. At the end of the podcast, we always leave our handles and information on there. Get connected with us. Check us out on Instagram. This is where I post a ton of our stuff of what's happening and what we're doing. We have a lot of things in the work right now in the pipelines, and we're hoping within a month we're going to get it done. We're just finalized our book. My book's coming out April 30th. It'll be this Monday coming up. So check it out on Amazon and so forth as we are launching it. And you're going to seek more deeper stuff that it's going to help you empower your life. And that's the purpose of the book. It's one of going to be many books that I'm going to be writing, but it's the first of many. So again, vantage points, perspective. Always know it's up to you to empower or disempower your life based on how you look at your perspective and vantage point and how you can change that. So thank you. Thank you for listening to the Mindful Experiment podcast. For past shows, please visit www.empoweryourreality.com. I hope this show inspired you and added to your life to help you rediscover who you really are, to break through those limits. For connecting with us on social media, please check us out on Facebook at www.facebook.com/empoweryourreality. You can check us out on Twitter. Our handle is Dr. Vic21. And also check us out on Instagram. It's instagram.com/Dr. Vic Manzo. And as always, if this show you found to be helpful for you, by paying it forward and sharing this podcast with someone that you know who could benefit from it. And last but not least, if you liked the podcast show, please give us a review, 5-star. We'd appreciate that. Thank you for listening to The Mindful Experiment, helping you discover your infinite potential.